Hey, it's Jeff from RenoVision, and today we are talking about pot lights and specifically how you can install them in a finished ceiling. A lot of people have got a room, old wiring techniques, there's one central room light. Today we're going to show you how to take that room light, replace it with a pot light, and then add more lights in the same room on the same switch. We're going to talk about what size to use, the technical data around it, the systems, the techniques, the tools, the materials, everything you see here. It's pretty basic, and on Jeff's scale of difficulty, I'm going to call this one a 3. All you really need to know how to do on this one is know how to cut and measure, and just a couple of techniques from my electrical toolbox, you know, how to use my reds, how to put the cable connectors together. It's really basic. I think any homeowner should be able to tackle a project like this, and it gives you the ability to go from one old ugly light to a bunch of pot lights that can be put on a dimmer that hardly costs you any money on hydro. Remember, if you can get rid of your central room light and go to a light like this, this light only costs you $1 a year to have it on. What a deal. Worth the investment. I think everybody should do it. So let's go over to our part of the studio where we're going to be installing this. We'll show you all about what's going on and how to space it, how many lights you're going to need. All the information you need to be successful with your project is in this video. Let's get at it. Until recently, most homes have not been built with more than just one central room light, or they only had plugs attached to a switch if you're talking before 1970, so people could walk in a room and turn on the lamps. If you want to have a house that's in that category, today we're going to show you how to run pot lights from an existing source in a finished ceiling so you can change over your one central room light into something that's a lot more modern and give you exactly the kind of light that you're looking for where you want it. We're also going to answer all the questions about, do I do 4-inch or 6-inch? What's the spacing? What about the angle of the beam? All of these things, color, temperature, there's a lot of information. What I'm going to do is a live demonstration. We're going to go up here, remove a fixture. We're going to fish the wire through the ceiling, show you how to use a fish tape, right? All of the tips and tricks that you're going to need. You can do this, and you can do it yourself, and you can do a professional job. So let me show you how. So we're going to just jump into it. I'm going to disassemble this light fixture here. Most people aren't going to have a light in their house. I get it. This is my church. I'm renovating in the basement. This is our studio. It's a 10-foot ceiling. So this is what I have. Chances are, once you remove your light, you're going to have something like this in your ceiling flush with the drywall, okay? Now, if the box is screwed to some sort of framing from inside and you can undo the screw and just pull the box out, great. You have all the flexibility in the world. You still could go with 4-inch or a 6-inch light, and you still have options. If it is not able to do that because it has a bracket or it's screwed from the side and you have to make a bigger mess in order to find the screws and get it out, then you're committing to a 6-inch light because this is only a 4-inch box. And if you've got a 6-inch hole, you can take any box that's in the ceiling and remove it and still have a perfectly finished round hole that you can install your next fixture in. So that's why in a lot of remodeling situations with a closed ceiling, it's just best to plan on using the 6-inch. And there's other things to consider as well. We'll get into that as we build the video. For now, we're done with that. Now, fluorescent lights, you just rotate, okay? You go out of the pins, cross corner, and they slide out. These 2 pins go in, and then they roll, and they lock, in case you're wondering, okay? You want to be real careful with these, because if you break it, they shatter in a million pieces, and they have toxic stuff inside them that you don't want to let into your atmosphere where you're breathing. For now, we're done with these. I'm just joking. Now, all of the wiring for this unit is all in behind, and so this is actually just a piece of metal, and it's compressed under these little clips, and you just squeeze it together, and then it just pops right out. And it should expose the ballast. As a side note, while we're here, great teaching opportunity. These little clips here, you see this? These are actually just compressed into the metal. And you can actually swap these out. So if you have a light fixture like this that's not working anymore, you can actually go to the hardware store and buy these little units here, and you can replace them and stick them back in and get another whatever years for your light fixture. The ballast itself, if you notice that it's dripping like this is toxic, don't touch it. It's really bad osmosis toxicity going on there, all right? They overheat and they start to drip, all right? Poison, don't eat. Okay, generally with these lights, because the whole light fixture is a steel box, you don't have to have the octagon in the ceiling. So what they do is they have a couple of mounting screws and then just a hole in the ceiling where the wire comes down. So what we want to do first is disengage the black and the white and the ground coming from the ceiling. Okay. There we go. That's that. I don't have any cutters on me, so I'll just pull the Moretz. Okay, this is all wiring for the light, and that's what we want to leave. Of course, we're working with the power off here. Now, I've got to find out where it's attached to the ceiling. I got a screw here, and I got a screw here. Here's the funny part. That's not in the wood. That's not in the wood. This one's probably in the wood. Yeah, that one's in the wood. That's actually holding the light fixture up. Like I said before, I know the video is about doing it in a finished ceiling. When I take this down, I'm actually gonna have 2 extra holes, unfortunately. But the principle holds true, all right? It's just in the drywall, but yeah, we gotta get a thread in the metal. Yeah, there we go. And it's been up for so long, it's probably just glued in place. And, oh, we got one more screw over here. There we go. Okay. Oh, wow, it used to be a really shiny ceiling. Wow, and there's a box. What a great teachable moment. Okay, this is fun. Now this particular box does seem to be mounted straight up. So that is good. Let's see if we get lucky here. I need my knife. Now this looks exactly like what you're gonna find at your house after you take your light fixture out. We're just gonna cut back a little bit of drywall here, make sure that it's easy to get this out. That looks like mouse poop. I don't know what the heck. Yum. Yeah, somebody just poured mud in there to fill the hole. Okay. There we go. Now we're going to rescue this from the box so that we can actually use this wire to put in our light. Here we go. Okay. Oh, that's nice. There's like no extra wire. Okay, so now we have a location. This is one of these points where you start to realize how something is built, okay? Here's a great opportunity. Now, there are really 2 options in a ceiling. I know this is a finished ceiling, but I'm gonna draw on it just to give you a little heads up. I can see strapping here, right there. I see a 2x4 that's just raised up, going left to right. I know that my joist package is going this way. I don't know where it is, but I know it's going left and right. It's 5 inches to the left. So my joist is here, and then my other joist is 16 inches away. The red square, right here. I can confirm that. Wow, it's 14. Oh, no way. There we go, come on. 14. That means in this particular building, my joists are 24 inches on center. That is not what I wanted to hear, but that's still allowed. As long as it's a 2x10, and it is. Okay, good. What that means is I've got joists running this way, but strapping underneath of it, going this way. Which means if this is my joist, this is my drywall, I have a space between the two that I can fish my tape around. In this environment, you are guaranteed you can put your pot lights wherever you want to, okay? There's no obstruction, because all you have to do is you can run from here, drill a hole over here, put another light, and then we're gonna fish 4, 10 feet away, whatever it is. So we have the ability, because it's strapped, to put this wherever we want without damaging the ceiling. If there's no strapping, and the drywall is directly to the floor joists, you are going to have to make extra holes and then patch them. It's not exciting. There are some houses out there, the drywall is right to the floor joist package, there's no strapping. So the first thing you want to do is remove your light, get in here, feel around, right? Put your arm up in this space, identify if you got strapping, understand the construction technology you're dealing with before you make a decision about how many holes you want to build. If you're going to be making a mess and drilling extra holes, the rest of this, you don't have to be that careful. You can make as many mistakes as you like now because you're going to be sanding and priming and painting. If you're like I am and you have one central light and the ceiling is in perfect condition and you have strapping, now we're in a position, let's just move forward from there because that's going to be the majority of the situation. Now we're in a position where we can figure out how many lights we want in the room. Now we get into the math. This room, ceiling to ceiling, is almost 11 feet. Generally speaking, when you're figuring out how many lights you want to take a look at 3 considerations. Let me just grab the package. Now, you can get a 4 or 6 inch light with the same amount of watts, okay? The size of the light doesn't mean how many watts because they're LED. So what you want to do is you want to get at least the 15 watt LED, which is like a 100 watt light bulb. Now, when you look down here at the information, there's a piece of information along the side here. Bam, okay, here it is. Shows you how long it's going to last, but on the back over here, it shows you the angle. See this? Beam angle. Crucially important, because this beam angle here tells you how the light works. This box is 120. The other light that I have is a 38. All right? So, just for fun, I'm going to demonstrate what those 2 angles mean and why it's so important to know this, because it'll tell you how many lights you're going to need in your room. Okay, so I need a screw. I got a chalk line. This will help make this visibility really easy. Okay. Now, this here is about a 120 angle beam. Okay, that's about a 90, that's about 120. Make sense? So if you have this beam and you're in a 10-foot ceiling, and let's say I'm at average height just under 6 feet, my light is passing here. If I'm walking in this part of the room and I don't have another light fixture with the beam coming along and intersecting it above my eyes, I'm effectively going to be walking in and out of the light into the dark all through the room. And you've maybe been in a place like that, it's like spooky. Basements have this happen a lot. People don't use enough lights in a basement. It's usually a lower ceiling. It's lower than 8 feet. Now at 10 feet, you can probably, as long as my intersection is from here, I'm probably good, right? So I could have lights as far as 6 feet apart on a 10-foot ceiling. If it's an 8-foot ceiling, you want to put your lights no more than 4 feet apart, okay? Now having said that, 4 feet is a lot of distance. And you might not want to have just 4 feet apart. You might want to bring even more lights than that, okay? It might be easier for you to fish that along if instead of every 4 feet, you went with every 3. If I didn't have strapping on with the 2-foot joist, I could go a light every 2 feet, right? All the way down the run and put it on a dimmer switch so I can reduce how much power I'm putting into the room. That's one way to work around a situation. But for normal situations, I like 36 inches of spacing. I like 24 inches off a wall, because remember, you're talking about the angle of that beam. You don't want next to a wall and the light only hits way down low. So I like 24 inches off a wall. Every 3 feet after that, I like to fill the room. If you've got a tall ceiling, go every 4 feet, okay? It's not that tricky. It is easier to have more lights and reduce the dimmer effect than to not have enough light in a room. It really screams. When you have those dead zones and you look around and you go from bright to dark in the room, it really says somebody didn't think this out very well. So hopefully that helps. Now let's get into the actual wiring situation. Okay, so my light is 5.5 feet from the wall. So what I'm going to do is put a little pencil mark 2 feet. Okay, and I want to make sure I'm kind of square about there. Okay. That's where I want to put my light. This is an easy one to do because I'm inside of a joist cavity. The only thing I got to find out is, am I marking where that strapping is? Because I don't want to have to cut through the strapping. So let's find out. And to do that, we just put our stud finder here. If it goes red, there's wood. There's wood here. Yeah, there is. Okay, good. So if the stud is over here, the strapping is over here, we're going to be safe there. This particular box, it gives you information for cutting. Okay, all the information you need about your light is on the box. Read all 4 sides. This isn't serial. There's like actually tons of information here. This light says here that the hole should be 6 1/8 of an inch. And the light itself is 6 3/4. Now that's not a lot of mercy. Now if you have a 6 1/8 inch hole saw, you'll never find it, then you're great. But what they do is they give you this. It's the packaging. The light came in the box and it was sitting in this hole. So we're gonna double check. And this packaging, the hole is 5 3/4. And I want 6 and something, okay? Now you can use this as a template. Put it up on the ceiling, all right? And you can do your circle with it. Okay, connect the dots here. Now, they want 6 1/8. And so you can kind of split the difference here. Okay, you see that? I'm basically adding 3/16 all the way around the circle. That's all. And you can basically freehand that circle now, 3/16. Or, knowing you're going 3/16, just pull out your saw and cut the darn thing. So I'm gonna cut on the inside of the line. And I hit something. Lovely. That's gonna happen, folks. We'll deal with that when we get there. And a warning, when you're using a drywall saw to cut a hole like this, cut on the upward thrust, not on the downward thrust, because you risk tearing the paper. Okay, so if you're only pushing forward when you're on the upward thrust, you'll never tear the paper off. If I'm pulling down while I'm cutting, I can run a bit of paper off and then I'm no longer have a finished ceiling. Let's find out how much of this wood is in the way. Okay, we're gonna finish the rest of this with a utility knife. Great teachable moment. Okay, here we go. One of the benefits of these lights is the main body of this light is not as thick as the drywall. Okay? So, even though I've exposed wood that's in the way, I don't have to cut through that structure or compromise it. As long as I've got 2 locations where I can put these pins when I'm ready. Okay? And get the wire tucked up out of the way. We're gonna see if this is gonna fit now. Okay, that actually works really nice. When you see the spring, take your knife and push it up there and open up the spring by pushing in. Take the pressure off the drywall so you don't tear it. Okay, there we go. So we know we're good. Now what we gotta do is run a wire. So the wire we're gonna be using for all residential wiring, all lighting applications, it's called 14-2. This is the gauge. This says that 2, there's a black and a white. It's all you need for light fixtures. The only time you need to go with a 3-wire is if you have a 3-way switch and the wiring of the fixtures goes 3-wire from the switch to the light and then to another switch. If that happens, if you open this up and you see a black, white, and a red, and it's on a 3-way switch, that's what they're doing, okay? So then you'd have to continue that, going 3 and connecting all of those wires in every box. Black and white to the fixture and red moretted to itself. But for most situations, what you're gonna find is 2, just a black and white is gonna do the job. Most guys that wire a 3-way switch, wire switch, switch, then lights, because then they don't have to use 3-wire to all the lights. All right, today's shout out goes off to Cassie and Cameron, one of our members. They actually built the craft room. I know, right? Like not all of us have to renovate an entire 1880s house. I'm proud of you, great job, right? Learning skills and being successful in the project is what this channel is all about. We're here to help, we're happy to do it. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook, guys. Give us your submission. Let us know where you live. Let us know what you do for a living. And let us share with the world your success story so we can encourage each other in the community. All right, let's get back to the video. I also want to cut this hole to be the same 6-inch hole. Right? Same routine. I'm not even going to get close to the old hole. I don't care about it. And I'm going to cut a little bit wider than what you see. If you're one of these people that likes to be really precise with stuff, go ahead. Be as precise as you want, right? Cut a template that's exactly 6 1/8. Don't worry about it, there's nothing wrong with that. I know I've got a little bit of wiggle room. And if I need to trim it up a little bit later because I cut too small, I'm okay with that. Okay, or that temporary screw I put in there. There we go. Now, get this out of the way just for a second. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna test this hole and make sure that I've got it cut right. I'm looking for integrity in the drywall. We'll go there, and we'll go here, and we'll get that wire in there. Look, it's gonna work just fine. Okay, now let's do this again. Push that over. Okay. Now we're good to go. Now all we gotta do is fish it. Right? Now if you're inside of a joist cavity and you want to just push a wire across, you probably can get away with that. Not all that tricky. Alright, let's see. And boom. Okay? Now, this wire only comes so low. No sense making this wire any longer than that one. So like I said, depending on your room, your size, your shape, you can put as many lights as you like. I'm gonna do one more. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my pencil and hold it where my end of my tape is. And I'm gonna come over to where I find 4 feet. Okay, put that in the center of the hole. Make a little mark. My center line here is gonna be at 2 feet. There we go. Let's just put our box based on this. We'll trace our cardboard, and we'll cut the hole a little bigger than the circle. We're probably gonna end up with the strapping in the same spot again, but that's fine. There's 2 reasons I'm recommending when you're doing this in a finished ceiling to go to the 6-inch light. One of them is that, like I've just demonstrated, it's a lot easier to get your arms in, to work around, to fish around in a 6-inch light than a 4. The second reason is, what if the hole that we were drilling was right over a floor joist? Okay? In a lot of cases, the packs that come in the lights, with a 4-inch hole, can't get between the drywall and the floor joist. Okay, and that's a challenge. That's a real problem. So by going with a 6-inch light, even if there was a floor joist right in the middle, there's enough room to slide this up beside it, and drop it in the ceiling, and then connect your wiring. Okay, so that's why I'm suggesting you go with the 6-inch light if you don't know what's going on, because it gives you options for all the installation later. Now, as far as working with a fish tape, I'm going to suggest you always start at the end and go back to where you were. The way this works is the rod, the tape kind of pulls out of the handle, and you see the whole carriage is moving around, okay? And when it's time to close it all up, you'd hold this and you grab the wheel and you turn it together. And that's how you bring it back in. And because it's round, it's always in a loop. So when you put it in a ceiling, because it's a flat tape, it'll just travel across the drywall until it comes to the hole. And if it meets with any obstruction, you can flip it over. So here we go. I'm going to go underneath the floor joist and just push it in the general direction where I want it to go. It should just pop out the other side. There we go. All right. Now, we want to have enough wire for this light, right? And over to here, and then for it to dangle down, not gonna let go of my tape. All right, so then all we gotta do is tape this wire to the fish tape now. Now, if I just pull this out enough, I can set it there and it won't fall out of the ceiling. There we go. Okay, here we go. Secret here, cut the last couple inches of the sheathing off. Cut your black and white wires. Okay. Make this a hook. Because that's a hook. You simply hook them together. We're not going very far, and I don't think there's any obstruction, so I'm not going to bother taping it. But in the event that you're going through weird spaces and you had to fight to get the tape somewhere, you would just take electrical tape and tape this all together, okay? I'm just going to pull it through like this. Now I'm going to help it over the corner. Okay, when you're pulling, try to be on one end, lifting it off the drywall. Okay, so you're pulling it across. And on the other end, you want to be pulling straight across the hole. If you're putting too much downward pressure, you can break the drywall. Remember, this is a finished ceiling, so the last thing we want to do is break the drywall here, right? There we go. So now I've got enough wire here to make my connection, and enough wire here, I just disengage. All right, so now we're just gonna go through the steps to wire. You wanna have about 3 inches of wire exposed, okay? Here we are. So you need your Olfa knife. You're gonna need a wire stripper. Wire stripper comes with a gauge, and these numbers correspond with the wire itself. We're using 14.2, so you find the 14 hole, and then you set that in the 14 hole, and about 3/4 of an inch with the wire. You pinch, and a little twist. There we go. And 14. Okay, all right. Now for prepping the box, pop the door open. I can put a grommet on the end or either side. I always like to go the end opposite of the wire because it's just a good habit to get into in case you're fishing your wire through in an odd spot. Makes life simple, right? Yeah, now they don't come with the grommets. You're gonna have to go and buy a package, okay? They come in packages of 5, or you can buy buckets of these things, right? And here they are, they're just little 1/2-inch plastic, okay? Take your square nose cut off side cutters, give it a little love tap, and then you pinch it and just wiggle it and it'll snap off, okay? Then you stick it in the short tapered side and you squeeze it to close it, and then you set it in, and that's it. It's not going anywhere. Here's a cross section of the grommet. You want to push your wire through so that that tab is bent down out of the way, and then it's in there pretty fixed, so it holds the wires. You want to get that right to the sheathing. Okay, where's my other one? Right until the sheathing, like up here, is inside that little grabbing section, okay? Here we go. Pay attention inside of the box as well. All right, get these out of the way here. And we'll just curl these so there's lots of room. All right, here we go. Now I want to push that sheathing until I see it sticking out inside the box. Okay, now you know you've got a good grab. That's not coming off by accident, all right? Now it's a simple, if there's 1 or 2 wires, it doesn't make a difference. You just take the corresponding green wire goes with the copper. All right, shove that on there. And then the white one goes with the white one, and then the black one goes with the black one. Wiring couldn't be any simpler. There we go. And that is why I'm a big proponent of a residential homeowner's electrical certificate. You could take a course, and anybody should be allowed to wire their own house, as long as you know the black and white go together 90% of the time. I don't think we'll ever see it, but hey, it would be nice, eh? Okay, the only thing that's left is to attach. See this groove here? There is a corresponding bump, and you have to put those together in the right location. And they slide together, and then you twist this on. Now you know you've got positive contact. We can slide this up into the ceiling. Okay, now take the first tab and put it up against the drywall. And then take the second tab, push it around, and then it'll all just snap right in there. Here we go. I'm gonna go and turn on the light. We'll see how that worked. Okay, Max, let's turn on the power. There you go. Wow, that is beautiful light. Right now, this light is set at, wow, that's a 5,000. All right, that's 4,000, and that's 3,000 Kelvin. Okay, so you get to decide. If you have other lighting in the area and you've got to match it up, that's like traditional incandescent lighting. That's more daytime lighting, and that is the blue lighting, right? So you get to pick. This works amazing. The new technology on LED lights gives you all that flexibility. In case the design trends change down the road, these lights last for years, and I would just... Okay. All right, guys, well, that's how easy it is. Couple of hand tools, and you can add lights to your own ceiling. It's a really great way, and you can take this technology and you can adjust it to whatever you're doing. On the difficulty scale, this is like a 3. You gotta be able to cut and measure, and you gotta connect black and white. It's not that tricky. Anybody can do this at home. Now, if you aren't aware of all the different LED packages that are available in the market, all the different lighting schemes that you can get, they have replacements for traditional fluorescent tubes and for drop ceilings and anything else you can imagine. Check this video out right here. We'd go through a whole list of all the different advancements that are in lighting technology nowadays. Hopefully that'll be helpful for you. Cheers, we'll see you next time.